Well, sorry about that, and welcome back. This is part two of my message. I think my phone completely ran out of memory, and I was on such a roll. And we left off at Kadesh Barnea. So, good morning again. I am sitting in front of my fireplace at our little spot at Waka Lake, and found out late last night that my video actually didn't finish playing. So I'll try and finish it this morning. Impacted so much by the instability that I feel that many of us feel, and looking forward to coming back and being in our congregation and ministering to each other, kind of re-getting to know each other as a body, reflecting on the instability and the sinking sand that all of the Israelites must have been feeling as God took them fairly directly from Egypt to Kadesh Barnea initially. This is before the 40 years wandering in the desert. So they look into the land. The spies go look into the land, and most come back and say the job is too big. But Joshua and Caleb come back and say, God is with us. We can take this. This is his promise to us. Ultimately, the people grumbled. They did not think the task was going to go in their favor, so they distrusted God and went back out to the desert and wandered again. There's a bit of a New Testament parallel here too. It caused me to think and reflect of John 16. Jesus is starting to make it clear to his disciples that he's not going to be with them anymore. And he starts to speak this. He speaks it several times, and each time they come across as if they really don't understand what he's saying. And here he says, we'll flip over and open in John 16 at verse 16. Jesus says, in a little while you won't see me anymore. And in a little while after that you will see me again. And some of the disciples asked each other, what does he mean when he says, in a little while you won't see me, and then you'll see me? And I am going to the Father. And what does that mean in a little while? We don't understand. Jesus realized they wanted to ask him about it. And he says, are you asking yourselves what I mean? I said, in a little while you won't see me. And then in a little while after that you will see me again. And I tell you the truth, you will weep and you will mourn over what is going to happen to me, but the world will rejoice. And you will grieve, but your grief will suddenly be turned to wonderful joy. It will be like a woman suffering the pains of labor when her child is born, and her anguish gives way to joy because she has brought a new baby into the world. You have sorrow now, but I will see you again, and you will rejoice, and no one can rob you of that joy. At that time, you won't need to ask for anything. I tell you the truth. You will ask the Father directly, and he will grant your request, because you will use my name. And you haven't done this before. Ask using my name, and you will receive what I have for you, abundant joy. Yeah, this was rocking their world. They had walked with Jesus for years. Not only him telling them that he's going to go, but attaching to it pretty dire circumstance that they'll be mourning and grieving, and the world will rejoice, but you will be mourning and grieving, and in a little while there'll be joy. So he's basically creating for them, they're creating for themselves the sinking sand under their feet. They're potentially not going to be on a very firm foundation as they follow their teacher for 3 years and listen to everything that he was saying. I can imagine that they were feeling that this would go on for a while longer, at least until they felt they were firm under their feet. Jesus says, no, that's not what's going to happen. In a little while you will see me again, and I tell you the truth, you will weep like a woman mourning over or in the pains of childbirth. God was birthing something, just like he was at Kadesh Barnea. I'm giving you this land. It's a new thing. I'm fulfilling my promise to you. As he was fulfilling his promise through what Jesus was doing here on earth, what was promised in Isaiah and the Old Testament. But they had to put their trust in God. They had to take their trust away from their circumstance, or look at their circumstance and how dire that was, and put that trust in God. Very, very similar thing. And at the end, there's this promise. The advocate, the Holy Spirit. You can ask anything in my name and I'll give it to you. their circumstance was going to be taken care of by God, but they could not see beyond their circumstance. For us, I think we feel a similar thing. I don't know if I don't remember if when I recorded this last, if I mentioned already, but our circumstances are so different. I think of all our kids going back to school. They're not going to be able to go into the sports that they love. Really, in many ways, do all the things we did to plan for our future, because we don't know what our future is going to be. Like, wouldn't it be great if this thing, the whole virus, just blew over, and we could gather back in big groups and go to sports games and plan our futures like we did for so long? Perhaps that's not going to be it. But to God, our circumstances shouldn't dictate who we are and how we live. So we look forward to getting back together with the body and experiencing the sweetness, telling the stories of God, ministering to each other. God is our absolute truth. Jesus is the Logos, the absolute truth, the Word. In a society that's telling us there's no such thing as absolute truth, God is actually saying, that's not your circumstance. You believe in me, I've created this. I've created the whole thing. Trust in what I have to say. I am the same, Jesus says, yesterday, today, and forever, and I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. So in a world that is turning upside down, God is saying, double down on me. Get to know me. Come back together and celebrate Jesus in us. Don't neglect the gathering of the body together. So this is it. This is a long run. Before this time, I've never spoken into my phone for any kind of message. And I think I've done about 30 of these so far. And it's become my norm, and I'm looking forward to it not being my norm anymore, just being together. So bless you all. We will see you next Sunday, 10 o'clock. Our service will probably be a little shorter, maybe about an hour and 15 minutes. And we will take all the necessary precautions. We will be wise, and we will enjoy God's presence together. So bless you, Hope Fellowship Church.